definitely
I walk on stage without any pre-recorded sounds. The entire show is made out of pieces of radio that I grabbed live. So if I didn't get anything but static, the whole show would be nothing but static. It would be cut up into bits. Some of them would be played higher and lower, they'd be filtered, but it would be nothing but static. So it's live in the sense that I'm doing it in front of people, and the source is completely live and unpredictable. It's a way for me to be more prolific because every show is different. It is a compositional challenge for me to come up with algorithms that can work with unpredictable radio. The narrative of my show, the progression from walking on with no sounds, dialing the radio, looping, making patterns and developing them, and then returning to them and layering them, that progression from beginning to end also determines the form of the show. So it has really become the center of my compositional work, and it's probably going to sit there in the center of it for some years to come. It is mass commercial culture, and that's what I want to tear apart as part of what I'm doing. Also, I can take stuff that's straight out of the faucet that's already compressed. I already know that the level is going to be consistent, and I love found sound, but sticking a mic into the audience or sticking a mic out the window is more of a hassle because I have to deal with the level. And FM radio is made for this. It is compressed, the equalization is rather tame, and I know there's always going to be a signal because radio can't have any dead air. Well, one reason is that the connection between the digital controller and the sound is always arbitrary. And when you look at the drum pads, especially if you're not a musician, you sort of think like it has to look like that to sound like that. It has to look kind of sleek and electronic. But that's not true. They're just things that you hit. And having a random object like the shoe is underscoring that. And the steering wheel is the same thing, except the steering wheel is more. The steering wheel is big. And being big allows me to play melodies and do things that I couldn't possibly do with a mouse. Everyone has to find their own niche, what's right for them, what feels comfortable in terms of software that they're using. Take something like Logic Pro. There's very little interactivity, very little programming, you compose music on it. On the other end of the scale, there's C++, where you have to build everything from scratch. The sweet spot for me is Max MSP, because I'm that kind of a geek. I like that control. The assumptions that go along with an Ableton Live or a Logic Pro or Pro Tools or what have you are not there in Max MSP. I can really do what I want. I can have many different tempos going at once, for instance. And there is a certain elegance to programming, to writing code, which is separate from the music, but it's also something that I love. Well, I'm a beat fanatic, and I've always been crazy for synchronization and the subtle, precise changing of synchronization. It's a little bit like comedy and laughter. If they laugh, you know you've done something. And in my case, if they dance, I know I've done something. And I went on this quest, this sort of alchemical quest. Can I take unpredictable radio, including spoken word, slice it, and make it really danceable with simple transformations, slicing, dicing, playing back in rhythm? That was my quest. I wanted that challenge, and it was also a question to me. Could that really happen? I think so, and now I feel like, yes, it can happen. There's an amazing amount of stuff you can do with what you can buy in a store. Buy a controller. They're fine. I have a problem with them, but you shouldn't have to. Don't use Max MSP unless you really want to, or unless you absolutely can't do it any other way. First of all, I'm making recordings. And I'm not deviating from my concept one bit. It's still live radio Wonderland, made from live radio, but I'm remixing my own shows. and I'm having some DJs, some actual remixers, do some remixing for me. And I'm going to upgrade my software. And I'm going to have a higher resolution wheel as well. And do bigger and better performances and make bigger and better recordings. So Radio Wonderland is going to be the center of my composition for quite a while yet. You know, I mean, there's people who say, like, I worked for 10 months and I have the MIDI guitar pick, or I have the MIDI running shoes, or the MIDI office chair. And you know, what they're doing with it is crap, and why bother? So if these are instruments, yes, let us celebrate the fact that they're instruments, but start playing great shit on them. Performing live really puts me in the moment, especially because I don't know what's going to happen until it's actually happening. And I love that discipline, and I love that way of living.